Hey everyone, I don't normally preface videos, but in this case I thought I needed to. So today's video is a little interesting and you'll see why I need to preface it when you watch the video. So usually when I go out on these explorations, I'll do a little research on the cemetery and get a little background on it so I don't sound like a complete idiot. Well, in this case I was actually going to explore another cemetery in Indiana. It was about an hour drive. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going out to explore this cemetery. Let me see if maybe there's another cemetery in the area, and I could explore that one as well. You know, 2 cemeteries, 1 trip. So right before I left, I went on the internet just to see if there's any cemeteries in that area, and sure enough, I found one. And this video that you're watching is it, Southeast Grove Cemetery. And had no background information on the cemetery, did not do any research on it. I just got the cemetery name and location. It was by this first cemetery I was going to look at. I thought, great, this is fantastic. So little did I realize with the events that happened, and you'll see that on the video, I came home and the following day I did a little research because what happened, and I won't tell you, you have to watch the video. Did a little research on the cemetery and found out that not only is it called Southeast Grove Cemetery, but it's also called Gypsy Cemetery. And it's one of the more haunted cemeteries in the state of Indiana. And the story goes that many years ago, around in the 1820s, gypsies came to that area and settled there, camped there. The local people did not care for the gypsies being there too much, asked the gypsies to leave the area. However, I guess some of the gypsies were ill. They asked the local people for some medical assistance. They were denied the medical assistance from what I understand. Some of the gypsies did die and were buried where this cemetery is. But before the gypsies left, they did curse the land. Strange things are supposed to happen there. Well, I didn't know any of this going in, and so now there's good reason for what happened to me in the video. There's good reason for it, a good explanation for it, but interesting nonetheless. So go ahead, now that you have this information, enjoy the video. Today's adventure takes us to a cemetery that doesn't have a name. I think it's called Southeast Grove Cemetery. I'm not sure. It's located in a remote part of Indiana, and it looks like it goes back to the Civil War era. There seems to be a rather large amount of graves in there. If you like this content, feel free to like the video. Feel free to subscribe, and come along. Let's go explore this old cemetery. Luckily, it's a short walk across the street, and we're here. Very good. Okay, I was having major video issues. I think it was because I guess I'd never shut off my map and it was still trying to guide me, and maybe that was causing my video to shut off. This is a fantastic cemetery. I mean, this has got to be about 2 acres. I'm just going to go through it here a second. Okay, this is interesting. A little creepy. Before we get here, I always have to film this. Civil War veteran. 35th Infantry Division, it looks like. Jacob Schaefer, thank you for your service, sir. Statue, Jesus, in the corner. Just looking at some of these, and they're from like 1971, 64, 79. But amongst them, like most cemeteries, are some very old stones. This one here, I can't really read. So these back here are extremely old. And yeah, that is a rooster that you hear in the background. Like I said, I'm in a remote part of northwest Indiana right now. And there are some graves sunken in here too. So there's some really old graves in here. It's interesting. I don't think these markers are in their correct locations, because there's some that are just like stacked right next to each other. One time things appear to have been moved. I normally get a peaceful vibe when I go into cemeteries. This one, I'm a little anxious. I don't know why, but I get I don't know. I get a different vibe in this cemetery, and that's very unusual. 1854, Edward Flint. I don't know what it is or why, but I'm getting kind of an eerie, very anxious type vibe in here. It's not peaceful like most of the other cemeteries that I visit. Jane, wife of Edward Flint, died in 1869. 81 years old. Wow. That one's a little difficult to read. It looks like died in 1885. Yeah, I don't know if it's because I was kind of having problems with my video function or what it is. But I do get an uneasy feeling in here. And what's interesting too, I'm gonna pan around here. So this is the front of the cemetery, and it looks like all the tombstones, as we go back, go off to the, well, as we're looking camera view, it goes off to the right. So they're not straight, they kind of just angle off to the right, which is strange. This is a really neat stone here. Show it to everyone. John Crawford. He died in 1874. Adeline, wife of John, died in 1901. Well, she lived much longer than he did. That is for sure. And oh, here's her son, Joseph, rather. He died in 1888. So he wasn't very old. Some beautiful stones, though. Really nice. I would like to know the history of this cemetery a little bit, because I feel like at one point it's really been neglected. Obviously, looking at some of these markers that are just laying on the ground. Like this one here, I hear something. Hold on. I think I hear a deer. I think it's just a deer back there. Yeah. Yeah, it is a deer. I see it. I don't think the camera can pick it up, but I see it. Whew. Yeah, that produced a little more anxiety. I'm like, why do I hear movement? What's going on back there? This is a shame here. Joseph, son of John and Jane Ross. He was, didn't even hit his second birthday. Daughter of John and Jane. Wow. She was under 30 when she passed away. So sad to see that. If we pan over here, Doak, D-O-A-K. We got, that's interesting, Mary and George here died in the same year. It's very interesting. Let's go up over here. I get the feeling something doesn't want me here. It's bizarre. Like I said, I've never had this feeling here before. Usually in memory of Thomas Temple. Usually, like I said, I get a welcoming feeling or, you know, peaceful feeling. Here, not so much. It's weird. It's weird. Well, here's one from 2008. That's pretty recent. All right, I'm gonna go up over here. Why are these facing? These are not facing the cemetery. These are facing the gate. Let's see if I can spin this around here. Pauline Frederick, 1920. And Frederica Warnhoff, 1931. All right, let me walk over to this part of the cemetery. This seems to be, well, it all seems to be old. It's weird because usually you have an old part of a cemetery and then you have a newer part of the cemetery. Here it's just kind of all mingled in. So there really isn't like an old part. I don't know how they did this. Florence, wife of Thomas McKay, 1913. Great old stones though, really nice. This one's pretty hard to read. Nethery. I'm feeling a little more comfortable up here. It's back there. I don't know. That's weird. I'm just kind of walking around right now, looking at stones that interest me. This one I can't really read. This one neither. I assume they're related since the stones are similar. Otto Benjamin, 1871. I wonder how this breaks. I mean, that's a pretty good size. That's about 10 inches by 10 inch square, and it broke. Wonder how that happens. What a neat cemetery. It's in a weird configuration now. Things are not lined up in rows like you would think a cemetery would be. They're more kind of haphazard everywhere. And I find that to be interesting too. Boyd, July 8th, 1819, November 10th, 1901. As of this filming, it is 4th of July. His birthday will be coming up in a couple of days as of this recording. Guthrie, John, Mabel. I can't even imagine. I mean, there was obviously nothing around here back in the 1800s. Jemima, so it is, Jemima, it looks like. Wife of John, a lot of Johns. You know, this could be, I wonder if there's a lot of German influence in here as well. Because John's usually a derivation of Johann, which of course is a German name. So quite a few Johns. Harry George died 1894, 27. And here's another George family plot. Thomas George and Anna George. Well, this is an interesting cemetery, interesting exploration. Again, I don't know what it is. I just felt really anxious and uneasy, and I never usually feel that way in a cemetery. One thing I think is interesting too is the little grave marker right here. Felix is the only one I've seen in this whole place that has coins on it. It has several quarters. It looks like it has 3 quarters and a nickel. So that is very interesting. And over here in the corner, a little bench. And right at the entrance to the cemetery is one of Penina Erwick. That's an interesting name. That's just sitting here right at the entrance. I don't think that's exactly where her gravesite is. All right. One more pan here of the cemetery. This was an interesting one. You know, they're all interesting, but this one was really had a different vibe to it than the rest of them. Even when I went to Bachelor's Grove, I felt pretty at ease and relaxed. This one, for some reason, not so much. I'm not sure why. Okay, that's going to do it here from Northwest Indiana. The cemetery was interesting to say the least. It seems like the old grave sites were mixed in with new grave sites. Things weren't lined up. The cemetery curves off to the left as you're looking through the entrance. You have a random statue of Jesus. So a really interesting place. Kind of gives me the creeps a little bit, but interesting nonetheless. So until next time, keep exploring.